Well, this show was kind of all over the place, but I think we can safely assume one thing. I'm pretty sure Lars Sullivan was an Emma fan. Let's talk about NXT. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz, Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your January 10th, 2018 NXT review. Now, big deep breath because there's a lot of house cleaning to do before we get into NXT tonight. Now, go up to the annotation up there. You're going to see the link for my last Ask the Phoenix Q&A. The next Ask the Phoenix Q&A will be the Tuesday before the Royal Rumble. Get your questions in for that Q&A. I know there's a couple people on there. I know Gary Monahan in particular has sent me a bunch of questions. It's going to be a fun Q&A. We're going to be doing the Q&A on Tuesday, typical NXT review on Wednesday. We should be doing the tackle preview for TakeOver and the Royal Rumble. There are going to be some changes to the Royal Rumble Pick'em, so be sure you tune in for that. Also, in the annotation up there, I keep getting confused because I point over there and my camera shows me pointing over there, and if you ever see me doing this and then backing up to sort of double check, that's why. It's complete opposite, which really fucks you up, especially late in the day. Also in that annotation up there below, you're going to see a channel listing for my new off-the-cuff series. You're going to see the video that I did about the mixed match challenge and stupid shit people were saying about Samoa Joe, my thoughts on Mia Khalifa taking on the WWE and specifically Paige. You're going to see me, Kristen, and Guapo fantasy booking our own WrestleManias for this year, which was a lot of fun, and it's a really long video. Now, there's going to be an additional video to that playlist. Tomorrow night, we are going to be doing our preview predictions, thoughts going into the Mixed Match Challenge, maybe a little bit of fantasy booking. I think all the teams have been announced, so myself, Kristen, and Guapo will be doing that sometime tomorrow night. That should hit your subscription boxes on Friday. Also, people have been telling me, specifically my co-hosts as well as my buddy OKFabe, Fear the Spirit 1990, etc. have been telling me a lot of my videos, especially the off-the-cuff series, have not been showing up in people's subscription boxes. Now, I don't stand up here and claim to have the biggest subscription base in the world. The subscription base I have is incredibly, incredibly loyal. I love each and every one of you, but we're not in the millions and billions. We're not like Goofball from New York or even my good buddy OKFabe, who you should go check out because he's a good guy. But I do appreciate the few of you that I've spoken to that have told me that a lot of my videos have not been showing up in your subscription box, especially the off-the-cuff series, because of the controversial matter of some of the subject matter there. So for the next little while, I would like to reach out to you guys and just come actually to my channel, check out the videos that are there, and just give me a heads up, give me a high sign, tell me how many of those videos are actually showing up in your feeds, because that's more than a little frustrating, isn't it? I mean, I know my live event highlight videos don't make very many views. I did the WWE Toronto show just before the holidays and put the highlights of that up, and I didn't expect it to get very many views, because I realize not very many people are much caring about the house shows, etc., and that's fine. So the views on those videos are kind of shit, and I kind of expected that. But topical videos, some of my NXT videos have been getting relatively decent views in the past little while, and they've dropped off, so that's a bit shit. So I'm looking to you guys for feedback, how much of this stuff is actually showing up in your subscription boxes. But if it doesn't show up in your subscription box, you don't know that this is here, and you're probably not watching me right now. Now, the last bit of house cleaning before we get into NXT. Two shows, if this is for people that are in the GTA, so people that are outside of Toronto, outside of Ontario, outside of Canada, outside of North America, bear with me for a second. Those of you that are in the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, Toronto, Brampton, Mississauga, etc., especially Mississauga, if you are going to Destiny Wrestling's Carnage show on the 21st of January, please look for me. Please come up and say hello if you choose. Also, That's at the Don Koloff Arena, by the way. If anybody is going to the NXT Mississauga on February 22nd at the Hershey Center in Mississauga, come seek me out there too. Come say hello. If you choose, if you don't, you know, wave at me from across the arena or whatever. I'd love to meet some of you guys and find out if any of you guys are local. I know, strangely enough, I've got fans in New Zealand and Australia and Ireland and England and all that sort of thing. I don't know how many, I mean, other than Strife. I see you, buddy. It's all good. I know that you are local. It's all good. But I would love to know how many more people are watching me that are actually local. So if you are going to Carnage, if you are going to NXT Mississauga, please... and you see me, because I do tend to stick out. I'm kind of loud. I'm kind of obnoxious. Please don't hesitate to come up and say hello, high-five me, tell me you love my videos, or tell me I'm full of shit. Either way would be a lot of fun, but I will be at those two shows, as well as the Road to WrestleMania tour that is coming back through Rico in March. So, a lot of fun, a lot of good stuff. Hoping to bump into some people. This means I will have seen House Show in December, Carnage in January, NXT in February, and a house show again in March. So it's not a bad start to my 2018, I'm not going to lie. But let's talk about NXT, the saving grace of the television week for WWE. Now, told you guys when we did the Fatal 4-Way 2 weeks ago that I wasn't going to be reviewing last week's show. Didn't even watch last week's show because it was a highlight show. Highlights of 2017 and whatever. And if you want to know my opinion of anything that's happened in 2017, you can check out the review from that week. I'm not going to review a review show, so I haven't talked about NXT in 2 weeks. NXT starts off in the back with a promo with the ROH boys welcoming us to 2018, bragging about their new tag team championships, bragging about what they're going to do to Sanity tonight in their rematch, and Adam Cole saying that he's on his way to the NXT championship, which isn't really true because that's Gargano right now, but whatever you say, Adam Cole. Whatever you say. And by the end of tonight, we already know what you're going to be doing at TakeOver, and it has nothing to do with the NXT Championship, so there's that. We start off with something that was a lot of fun for me for two reasons. Looking forward to the introduction of Shayna Baszler because, you know, she's not Brock Lesnar, but she's that Brock Lesnar-ish character of, you know, how are they going to come over from UFC and how are they going to fare in a WWE environment. And she's taken on Dakota Kai, a.k.a. Bayley done right. You know, Dakota Kai is going to get destroyed in this match, isn't she? They show a video, a WWE.com exclusive of Shayna Baszler picking on some girl in the Performance Center who's trying to learn how to put a choke on. Hey, let me show you how to put the choke on so you know how it feels, so you know how to do it. Chokes her out, beats the shit out of her. It's all good. This match is funny. I love Dakota Kai's so tiny too. I just have to say Dakota Kai is so tiny, but let's, I'll run you through the match. It doesn't last very long. It starts with a collar and elbow tie up and a trip by Baszler. She locks her in a key lock, and with her one arm in the key lock, throws her into a suplex and does several wrist lock combinations to her on the ground, just destroying her wrist, destroying her arm. It's a lot like when you see guys like Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, and they do a lot of that sort of joint manipulation type stuff where they're not moving very far, they're not doing very many high spots, but literally they might be popping one or two of your fingers out of place. It was that intricate, and it felt more real, and I know that's cliche to say about the MMA girl, but it's true. But like, she started off with that key lock into a suplex by the arm, and then the wrist lock, and then she starts working on her arm, hooks her in an arm bar, and then she does this thing, and I'm pretty sure it was to dislocate the shoulder, or we're supposed to get the idea that she dislocated the shoulder. Anybody that can remember the Gail Kim's Eat Defeat, where she puts the foot up onto the chin and basically falls straight back while holding onto the arm, she basically did that, but it was up under the armpit, so you can picture it just popping the shoulder out of place, and then she hits her with a boot. Baszler gets her on the ground while she can't even get up. She can't get up. Baszler stepping on her hands, stepping on her fingers, just stomping away. Dakota Kai, all due respect to her, selling all of this, basically crying, basically screaming in the arena. They're in one of the old in one of the old theaters where they used to film WCW, and even Mauro Ranallo said that they're seeing the ghosts of WCW in the arena tonight, which is a very, very odd thing to say because, you know, they won the Monday Night Wars and this is Wednesday and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we've got Dakota Kai on the ground, basically unable to move. She stands up her arm and basically stomps the living fuck out of the point of her elbow. And that basically leads to a ref stoppage, which is a really lame way to end the match. But once again, you got to go back to that, you know, they're really trying to play up this MMA-ish feel that comes from this legitimate MMA person. You know, they talk about how she's, you know, fought Chris Cyborg, whoever the fuck that is, and, you know, obviously her friendship and kinship with Ronda Rousey is something that's going to do her well, seeing as WWE wants to work with Ronda Rousey. But a ref stoppage in a match like this, where it's just like, yeah, you've beaten this person down to an almost pitiful level. Again, I have to say, I'm not saying that with any respect or disrespect to Dakota Kai. I'm actually really happy to see her in there. I liked her in the Mae Young Classic, and I like her here. She sold the fuck out of this. She really, really did. A lot of the drama of this destruction is on Dakota Kai, who really sold it, who looked not only in pain but legitimately sad while she was getting destroyed. And this spot with the elbow where she just like crushed her arm from the elbow down, ref stoppage, felt real. And I know that's a very, very cliche thing for wrestling fans to say about a particular spot in wrestling, but I can't describe this in any other way other than it felt real. Not only that, she's braggadocious around the ring after the fact, comes back into the ring, and they mention this in the video package from the Performance Center, and they mention it again here. They mentioned what kind of choke she was using. It was basically a rear naked choke along with a body scissor, which we've seen before. We've seen various iterations of that, Asuka with the Asuka lock, etc. But they said some name in Japanese, I think. Please correct me down in the box below if I'm wrong. But then with her, you know, being the Queen of Spades and how it's the highest card or whatever, they were also referring to it as the trump card. They were referring to her finisher as the trump card. I'm just going to leave that out there, and I'm just going to quietly wonder how long that name for a finisher is going to last before they change it to something else. Eventually, she's saved by Ember Moon. They have a stare down. Da-da-da-da-da. They're going to fast-track Shayna Baszler into a title shot, aren't they? Not that she doesn't deserve it, not that it won't be cool to see her go against Ember Moon. All due respect to Ember Moon as well. It's very, very fast, and I can't help but feel like they've gone to Ronda Rousey because they want to do things with Ronda Rousey and said, hey, you know, we want to use you on our big main stage. How about we give your friend a title shot down in NXT because she wants to do the NXT thing. Now, I'm not saying that that'll be bad. I'm just saying it's really politic-y, and it seems like they've sort of leapt and bound over somebody else that I have an incredible bias for on NXT, who I just think deserves a #1 title shot, and that's Nikki Cross. Now, we're going to talk about Nikki Cross later on in the night, but I really do hope, and I really do put all the positive vibes out there, that if we are going to do Ember Moon and Shayna Baszler at TakeOver Philadelphia, that at TakeOver, whatever the fuck TakeOver is happening before WrestleMania, I think it's Louisiana. No, I don't fucking know. Again, it's late in the day, so I'm a little scattered, and it's been kind of a long day, so please excuse me again if I seem a bit scattered. But whatever the TakeOver is before WrestleMania, I really do hope against hope that it is Nikki Cross versus Ember Moon, because we all know that if it's Shayna Baszler here, it's going to be Kairi Sane WrestleMania weekend, and that's inevitable. It's as inevitable as we felt Ember Moon becoming champion was, but I really do think that they keep bringing Nikki Cross just this close and pulling her back, and this close and pulling her back, and now, if they wait till later in the year to give her the title, will those layers of anticipation work? Will those layers of anticipation make it a better payoff later on down the line? Jeff Hardy, perfect example. Maybe. But we could get to a point where we know better than to get our hopes up for Nikki Cross anymore, and when it does actually happen, nobody thought it was going to happen, so we're not excited anymore. I really don't want that to happen because I think Nikki Cross is ridiculously underrated on NXT. I almost want to say I'm sorry they didn't bring her up, but at the same time, Paige, Nikki Cross, Ruby Riott are 3 of my favorites going on right now, and one of them is on each show, and that's good. That balances out the shows pretty well, along with the other bullshit that's going on Raw and SmackDown. I could go on a whole other rant. Authors of Pain in the back are shouting a promo at Sanity and the ROH boys, and most of it's not in English, so they're big and they're loud. Cassius Ohno versus Raul Mendoza. Now, I don't know much about Raul Mendoza. I think he was in the Cruiserweight Classic, if I'm not mistaken, and you guys know what I think about Cassius Ohno, but here we go. They have a handshake to start. Nice sportsmanship, new year, new attitudes for everybody, and it's all good. Side headlock by Mendoza, and they go into a quick pinning reversal sequence right off the bat. Ohno tries to pull Mendoza off the top turnbuckle. Mendoza, in midair, turns it into a head scissor. Now it's a head scissor. Now, the way he brings himself back and flips Ohno over, the way a typical head scissor is, but he doesn't have him by the head. Because of the way the move comes off, he's actually got him by the shoulder, so it's a shoulder scissor, which is fantastic. Mendoza gets back up, responds with some say it loud, say it proud. For the first time in 2018, the Daniel Bryan silly kicks. Oh yes, boot by Ohno, corner chops, and some stomps. Gory Guerrero special submission by Ohno, which is fine, I guess. Follows it up with a senton. Arm drag and a forearm by Mendoza. My writing sucks, and I can't talk tonight apparently. Arm drag, forearm, and a top rope arm drag by Mendoza. Hangman boot and a forearm to the back of the head by Ohno, and Ohno gets the win. Now, Ohno, I don't give a shit about. You guys know this. I tried really hard. I was actually kind of intrigued when they gave him a second round in NXT, but I just can't bring myself to get behind him. I just can't. But they want to play him up as this, like, you know, plucky underdog. He's come back from all these, you know, medical conditions that he's had and all these close encounters with the title and all that sort of thing. So they're trying to play him up as this underdog, which doesn't work because he's bigger than half the guys he's in the ring with. And now his new finishing move, that I can't remember the name of because it's that kind of night, is an elbow to the back of the head. So his finishing move is a cheap shot on a guy that's a lot smaller than him. That does not scream babyface to me. You know what does scream babyface to me, though, is hearing promos about from Johnny Gargano about his upcoming match at TakeOver Philadelphia. We hear from Zelina Vega and Andrade Cien Almas and how they don't care about Gargano and they don't see him as a threat, and they've already beaten him twice, and Roddy. Zelina Vega is getting better and better and better at promos, and Andrade doesn't say too much. So everybody wins on that one. Gargano comes out, and he is the pure Snow White babyface. He is what they wanted Daniel Bryan to be, what they wanted Roderick Strong to be, what they want Cassius Ohno to be. Gargano is that. And it's great. It's all wonderful. He's looking forward to the match, and then Velveteen Dream comes in, and he's challenging him, and he says that he deserves to be in the title picture because this and that. We know that Velveteen Dream was pulled out of the tournament. I don't remember why, and I don't really care because it's Velveteen Dream. But he wants a thank you from Gargano, and I think the point of his promo was supposed to be, you know, you should thank me for being out of that tournament so you could be in it, but he doesn't really ever get around to saying that. You know, you just barely beat this guy, you just barely beat this guy, you just barely won the fatal four-way, and you know you can't beat me, and I know you can't beat Andrade Almas, and they have a big stare down, and apparently in the coming weeks they're gonna fight, and gee, I wonder who's gonna win that one. It's gonna make me happy. Oh yes, Street Profits, who are one of the more entertaining things on NXT, just bopping through the backstage area on about 25 of these. You know, somebody gave them espresso, coffee, Coke, legit Coke, and 5-hour energy, and they're sort of roughhousing with everybody, but then they calm themselves down long enough to go have a conversation with William Regal, talking about how they should get a title shot, talking about how they're undefeated, and next week William Regal grants them a #1 contenders opportunity, but they have to beat the Authors of Pain. So we have the Street Profits versus the Authors of Pain next week on NXT, which is going to be fantastic because if you want to go with cliches, because that's what we're doing tonight, styles make matches. Speed versus strength, etc., etc., etc. I'm not comparing these guys to DIY. I'm really not. But look at what Authors of Pain versus DIY was like. Look at what Authors of Pain versus Revival was like. What's his name? Montez Ford in the Street Profits is just... Let's pull another cliche out of the hat. He's the Energizer Bunny. I think him going up against the two massive members of the Authors of Pain is going to be fun. I don't like their chances, don't get me wrong, but I do think it's going to be a fun match that I look very, very forward to talking to you guys about next week. What I want to talk about next. Now, you guys know me. No big secret. I was a big fan of Hot Heel Emma. I thought it was the stupidest thing, probably one of the stupidest things WWE did last year, along with losing Austin Aries, was firing Emma. Austin Aries, just on a side note, Austin Aries at a Impact taping tonight apparently became the Impact World Champion. So that's something to think about. That's another story for another day. But along with losing Austin Aries and along with omitting Austin Aries from the WrestleMania DVD, among other things, shackling him to commentary, sticking him in 205 Live, all that kind of shit, they fired Emma. Not only did they fire Emma, but they fired Emma after Emma and Asuka had back-to-back, 2 nights in a row, 2 of the best women's matches of 2017. So when we saw a dipshit like Lio Rush try to use that misfortune of hers to get some heat, some attention on himself, we all decided that this guy's a piece of shit and needs to be dealt with. So, what do? We take him off NXT for a couple of weeks, and then we bring him back to face Lars Sullivan. And that's what we have tonight. Sullivan catches Lio Rush's first kick attempt at the beginning of the match, but even though Sullivan has Rush's foot, Rush still thinks it's a great idea to slap Lars Sullivan in the face. Lars Sullivan had a little bit of a different entrance this week. He still the same music, same imposing walk and all that, but they've got it in like all flashing red, so it almost looks like emergency sirens when he's coming out, and I think that's a nice little touch. It's subtle. It doesn't change the world, but it's just a little extra ambiance to the presence that is Lars Sullivan. So after the slap, Lio Rush runs around the ring. A lot. Lars Sullivan picks him up from the apron, in a chokeslam position, but just like pulls him straight back into basically a hangman on the top rope. Which is great. Irish whips him so hard that he literally gets stuck between the turnbuckles, then picks him up and bulldozes him into the opposite corner. Sullivan misses and spears the post, and in my head I'm like, do not do this. Do not have Lars Sullivan slip on a banana peel and lose to this wiener, but he doesn't. He hits the freak accident and gets the win. He then does what I hoped he was going to do. He calls back to 2 weeks ago all the moments in the Fatal 4-Way #1 contender match that we saw between him and Killian Dane. He says Killian Dane is something like he's never fought before, it's a challenge he's never seen before, and he likes that, and it's fun, and he's calling out Killian Dane. And by God, please save that for TakeOver, because that will be a lot of fun. And then, for the hell of it, he throws Lio Rush over his shoulder, climbs the turnbuckle, and hits a super freak accident on Lio Rush. Lio Rush, see ya bye. Oh yes. Backstage, the ROH boys beat the crap out of Sanity, and seemingly we don't have a main event, which is fantastic. The ROH boys comes out, including O'Reilly coming out with his tag team title, playing guitar on the belt, Hollywood Hogan style, which made me laugh. They brag about the beatdown, and they claim that they have kicked the chaos out of Sanity, which brings Nikki Cross down the rampway to get her hands on all 3 of them by herself. Unfortunately for us, she's taken out by the referees. Nikki Cross gets the biggest chance of the night. Go back, if you didn't watch this week's episode of NXT, go back and listen to the Nikki Cross chants while they were dragging her away from the ringside area. It was the loudest chant that you heard all night. Put that belt at some point on Nikki Cross. If you have to separate her from Sanity, do it. If you have to make her her own person, do it. If you have to put her on an island by herself, she's crazy, nobody can deal with her, nobody wants to be around with her, nobody can even be associated with her, not even Sanity, do it. Put the belt on her. Take the belt off of Ember Moon, put it on Kairi Sane if you want to. We know we're not going to give it to Shayna Baszler yet. If you want to keep it on Ember Moon, do it. If you want to switch it over to Kairi Sane, do it. Whoever wins out of those two, have them go up against Nikki Cross. WrestleMania weekend, you will sell fucking tickets. Oh yes. Anyways, lost my place there. William Regal comes out to talk about how this is all ridiculous, etc., etc., etc. Doesn't even get to really come up with a solution, though, because Roderick Strong comes out and he basically grabs the microphone and he says, I'll fight them. And he starts heading to the ring, and then we hear more loud, aggressive music because it's Aleister Black, and he just grabs the same microphone and says, as will I. So, for reasons, we have Fish and O'Reilly versus Black and Strong for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Sure, this is the most I've ever given a shit about Roddy Strong, so good job. And they chase the ROH boys out of the ring, go to commercial break, or NXT's version of a commercial break. Now, you guys know up here in Canada, I don't watch it on the internet, I don't watch it on my tablet, etc. Up in Canada, for those of you that don't know, for those of you that maybe haven't been watching my videos a lot, the WWE Network in Canada is actually a channel on our television screen. So I, you know, when there's a commercial break, I can treat it like a legitimate commercial break, even though it's like, hey, buy Dean Ambrose's t-shirt, and then we're back to the match again. So, Black and O'Reilly start the match. Kicks and elbows by everybody. Suicide baseball dropkick by Strong. Armbar by Black, leg lariat by Strong. Corner chops and a pendulum backbreaker by Strong. Headlock by Strong, forearm by Black. Fish takes out Black's leg on the apron and he face plants on what every announcer will tell you is the hardest part of the ring. Corner strikes by O'Reilly, body shots by Fish, knee bar by O'Reilly, senton by Fish, and some more body shots. Forearms by Black, double leg takedown by Fish, exploder suplex by Fish, who then follows up by riding a sleeper. Sunset flip and a knee strike by Black's, lost my place, sorry. Dropkick by Strong, corner chops and a backbreaker, high knee by Strong, and a boot by Black. Cole attacks Aleister Black on the outside, and here's where the tide turns. Black chases Cole out of the, not out of the arena, but out of the ringside area. Now, I love this because it does play back to Aleister Black beating Adam Cole in the tournament. Adam Cole coming back and pulling Aleister Black out of that fatal four-way 2 weeks ago. They're going to go beat the shit out of each other, and all of a sudden the tag team titles don't matter anymore. But total elimination by the ROH boys gets the win and the obvious retention of those titles. Now, on the one hand, it was pretty predictable that a thrown-together team at the last minute was not going to beat this new stable that they're trying to boost up. On the other side of the coin, it does kind of look bad that they needed a 3-on-2 advantage to beat a team that was just thrown together. But there's a whole lot to be said here. There's a whole bunch of tag teams lining up for Fish and O'Reilly. There's All of Sanity. There's Aleister Black. There's Roderick Strong. Everybody is gunning for the guys from ROH. And it's awesome because, yeah, they're outnumbered. They're the heels and they're outnumbered, and that's a hard story to tell and keep them heel. But it shows that they are an impactful enough force that everybody has had to take notice. Now there's a 3-on-1 beatdown after the match. Adam Cole, they called it a neck breaker on commentary, I don't know why, but basically they took a chair, they laid it out in the ring, but then they thought twice about it, they stood the chair up so it's in proper like sitting position. Adam Cole hits a Death Valley driver on the open chair on Aleister Black and leaves the ring, and they're all posing in the stageway, and it's all good and it's all wonderful. Everything is cool in ROH land until William Regal comes out and informs Adam Cole that at TakeOver Philadelphia he's going to be facing Aleister Black in an Extreme Rules match. Leads to a lot of loud NXT chants. William Regal talks about the history of Extreme in Philadelphia. I really thought that the NXT chant was going to turn into an ECW chant, but kudos to the NXT crowd. They didn't do that. It's a lot of fun. There's a couple teams, sort of chomping at the bit for the tag titles, so I'm pretty sure Fish and O'Reilly will be busy enough TakeOver weekend. They might be facing Authors of Pain. They might be facing Street Profits. They might, if the world hates me, they might be facing Jobberelli and Gimmick Lost. The Heavy Machinery is always in the background. I don't know who the fuck they are, but everybody's talking about War Machine might be coming to NXT. So there's a lineup of tag teams going after those two guys. So it might be a situation where Adam Cole, who's used to having two guys backing him up, might be solo against Aleister Black with no rules, which is really not a good place to be, is it? This was a really, really fun episode of NXT. We didn't get the ROH boys versus Sanity, which I wanted to see, but at the end of the day, you know, save that for a later date, I suppose, or get Eric Young into the world title picture or do something else. But you did have a really good match. Aleister Black had a good showing. I said Roderick Strong was in a position that I've cared more about Roderick Strong than any other time I've seen him, if I'm perfectly honest. I like the guys from ROH. I jokingly refer to them as the ROH boys because I think Undisputed Era is a stupid name for a faction. We got to see the debut of Shayna Baszler. I was happy to see Dakota Kai, aka Bayley, done right on NXT again. The ridiculous fan reaction for Nikki Cross is building by the minute, and I think that's fantastic as well. Overall, nothing really to shake a stick at. I mean, the Mendoza Ono match I could have done without, but Mendoza, for somebody I don't really know, showed me a couple of things. Ono I still don't really give a shit about. Lio Rush got destroyed by Lars Sullivan, which made me smile, and this is why I like NXT. There's nothing I can totally complain about, and we're having a whole lot of fun on the way to the Royal Rumble. Sooner or later I gotta do a video on the Women's Rumble and all that crap. Royal Rumble's gonna be like 10 hours long this year, isn't it? Anyways, I've been Spaz. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going, don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.